On behalf of Friedrich-Naumann Foundation for Freedom and Care, we would like to welcome you today to our web talk covering Chad within our series Breaking the Silence, where we would like to cover countries that have been underreported in terms of humanitarian crises happening in these. And today, as I said, it is Chad. We are going to highlight and hoping to just bringing attention to a country that had not received the attention it should have because of the huge amount of humanitarian challenges and everything related to Chad. So we would like to shift and bring attention to Chad today. Not all of you have been able to travel to Chad, so yeah, just a few facts and figures. Chad is one of the poorest countries in the world. 6.1 million people are in need of humanitarian aid, and obviously violence and conflicts dealing with ethnicity is a day-to-day aspect in Chadian life, and especially the region around Lake Chad is particularly affected by the activities of various arms groups. But of course, we've got the effects of climate change, we've got floods, we've got the presence of refugees coming from around Chad, which makes the day-to-day life in Chad even more precarious. And to give you an even better idea, we have prepared 2 slides. So you can see where Chad is located in Central Africa, with countries that are notoriously unstable too. If you have a look, for example, at Cameroon or the Central African Republic, Sudan, South Sudan. So these are countries neighboring Chad and bringing huge amounts of refugees to Chad. So we are certainly going to address this fact too. Looking at the humanitarian indices, we are just enumerating a few. For example, the Human Development Index 2022. Chad is ranking 190 out of 195. So this is pretty much bottom end of this ranking. Same applies to Gender Inequality Index, rank 190 out of 195. We've got another slide prepared for you, so you have an even better idea of the hefty reality people are facing in Chad. 1.7 million children are acutely malnourished, and the country has the 2nd highest maternal mortality rate in the world. So it is, just a huge potpourri of problems and challenges we are going to dive in today in our panel discussion. It is sort of difficult to really find people who are in the know when it comes to Chad. So we are very, very privileged and happy to have 3 panelists on board today who I'm going to introduce to you right now. And I'm going to start with Uged Sekbe Susuhunto. Where is she? I hope we can see her in the gallery. I hope you can see her. Uged is the acting country director for Care International in Chad. She has over 20 years of experience in development and emergencies and has a focus on food security, nutrition, gender, and others. Huguette holds an engineer degree in agronomy and a master's degree in risk and disaster reduction management. So Huguette is a woman we really need to talk to when it comes to humanitarian challenges in Chad. So bienvenue, welcome, Huguette. Let's see, I can't see Huguette. Where is she? Where is she? Trying to find her. Here she is. Huguette, welcome. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. So we continue with our next panelist. It is Michael Monayan. He is senior manager for the Francophone countries in Western Africa and Morocco at Germany Trade and Invest. So this is the platform who is diving deep into bilateral investment opportunities. So Mr. Monahan is expert in this area, has been working for Afrika-Verein der deutschen Wirtschaft. So we can rightly assume that Africa is in your DNA, right, Mr. Monahan? Is it?
Thanks a lot. That's the case. But Chad is very special. But we will talk about it in the next minutes.
yeah, certainly. But obviously, you have been doing your research when it comes to Chad, and we are very, very looking forward to have your insight when it comes to economic opportunities for countries that have been forgotten in the last years. So it will be exciting to have you. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Monahan. Our next guest is, I'm just trying to find, Remaji Oinati. He is scientific director of the Centre de Recherche en Anthropologie et Sciences Humaines in Chad. His focus is working on technology and organization. And when it comes to Chad, there is one area and a niche which is coming to mind. It is oil production, and Remaji has been working on this topic and trying to figure out the socio-political impact of oil production and others. So it will be very exciting to have your insight and take on Chad. Bienvenue and welcome, Remaji.
Merci, bonsoir.
We are starting with our discussion, but before I would love to invite our guests on board in the audience. If you have questions, comments, if you would like to know topics, please go ahead. We've got the question and answer section where you can give us your insights, and we're more than happy to give your questions to our experts. You can use these questions, you can give them to us in German, in English, in French, and Spanish if you like, and we're happy to answer them. So that said, let's start our discussion. Our time, we've got time until full hour, 6 o'clock our time, so happy to dive in. Huguette, please give us an idea of what is happening on the ground. I mean, CARE has been working in Chad since 1975, and I know you have a long-term perspective. And well, sadly or happily, we have been in touch last year too, because Chad had been on the list of the least media receiving countries in the world in 2021 too. So again, give us an idea. What is CARE doing right now? What are the projects you are investing most in right now?
Okay, thanks so much, Sophie, for this question. I'm very happy to be here with you to discuss a little bit what happened here in Chad and what CARE is doing, maybe most in southern and the eastern of Chad. Yes, CARE is here since 50 years, but we have some intervention right now in southern of Chad and eastern of Chad. And mainly in southern of Chad, we are target the refugees from Central Africa and also the returnees in the different intervention areas. We cover 4 provinces in southern of Chad, namely Salamat, Moyen Chari, Logon Occident, Logon Oriental, and Mangoul. These 4 provinces are cross-border of the CARE country, and we receive every day, I can say, the new refugees in these areas. And the main thing we are doing there is to save the life. Yes, most of the time, support food and nutrition security activities, wash and sanitation activities, and also nutrition and protection activity, because due to this crisis, we have a lot of gender-based violence issues. So we address this key sector right now in southern of Chad. Apart of that, we are working directly with on livelihood issue, because this key beneficiaries are there more than 20 years, and they need right now to, we need maybe right now to stop a little bit. We've saved the life, but we need to build more in nurses and other activity that can help them to be more resilient face to that. We have a lot of focused discussion with them also to make sure what kind of activity they need to address their need, but they say that they need to have the activity related, the related something that help them to be more resilient. At the same time, you have some intervention also in east of Chad, where we focus more on health. There we have the Sudan refugees also, and we have some intervention in LAC areas where we have the IDPS, and we focus on resilience and also cohesion between the host community and the refugees. So I can maybe stop there to see what kind of deeply information I can also share with you. We have a good relationship with UN agents. We work with the different international NGO, emergency NGOs. So we collaborate directly with them and make sure how we can overlap and avoid the double action in the same area. So we are part of this different cluster meeting here in Chad. Thank you.
Yeah, Huguette, thank you very much. So we have an idea of the impact of the humanitarian scale of your work, first and foremost. But obviously, talking about resilience, you're working on the long-term programs too. I guess the aspect of gender-based violence to empower women and girls is in the line of your work too, and I'm sure we are going to address it later on. Thank you very much, Huguette. Remaji, we were talking about resilience and potential opportunities for countries such as Chad to change the narrative somehow. What is your take on the future of Chad? I mean, you have been working on so many aspects revolving around the oil production in Chad. Is there something where you really put your hope and your options in when it comes to the future of Chad?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to discuss. I think that we cannot actually talk about the future of Chad economically without considering oil in, because since the beginning of the oil exploitation here in the country, it has become the main resource income for the state. Unfortunately, this is something that could be considered as an opportunity, but also mainly as a difficulty, because the international market of oil is very unstable, as we know. So the country have been going through a lot of economic turmoil because of the oil pricing at the international level. This is one. But actually, even though the international market is kind of recovering, the oil sector is facing some internal challenges. And one of the biggest uncertainties actually regarding the oil sector is what I will say a kind of quarrel between the Chadian main oil partner and the state. Because since December last year, I think that Exxon that actually possess 40% of the shares on the 7 field productions in the south, have decided to sell its shares to another to a British company called the Savannah. And since some 2 months, there are actually kind of conflict between Exxon, Savannah, and the Chadian state. And we actually are at a point where the government is saying that they are nationalizing all the shares from Exxon without passing that over to Savannah, while it has been a deal between Savannah and Exxon. So this is actually the main, let's say, difficulty that the oil sector is facing in the country. Meaning that, one, there will be an open case at the trade tribunal in Paris, and also there are a lot of questions behind this nationalization pertaining to the capability of the state to manage the sector alone in terms of human resources, but also in terms of managing capacities and mastering the technology. This is a question that remained open, because I think that the transfer of competence that was part of the DOBA project have not been effective in terms of transferring most of the capabilities to the national actors. So this remained a challenge. And then there was the situation with the case in Paris. But again, regarding oil, it should be recalled that we actually, the country then, still is under the menace or the threat of this Canadian, this Swiss company, Glencore, because there was a huge debt from Glencore on the Chadian state. Some negotiations have been taking place last year, and with the support of Qatar, that is one of the hold most of Glencore shares. The debt have been kind of stayed, but actually we are then again to pay this, meaning that the oil sector, even though it remains the main income producer for the country, is facing some difficulties. So if the future of the country is to be based especially on the oil sector, as it is actually, because there have been no diversification, then it means that we might face some hard times in the coming days. So this is regarding oil, the oil sector.
Yeah, thank you very much, Remad. It will be exciting to dive deeper later on and just figure out, talking about diversification and what other niches and areas Chad could develop in the future to just offer more benefits and more income streams in the future. Mr. Monan, yes, please give us your take on Chad. When we talked preparing this event, you were quite hesitant to give me a sort of optimism when it comes to Chad. You said there's always hope for Chad, but I'm very reluctant to be optimistic when it comes to development in the future. This might be a very German take on an African society, but just give us more. Why is it you are cautiously, not optimistic, but cautiously hopeful when it comes to the future of Chad?
Well,
deep sigh.
First of all, we have to see that Africa in the global world is quite not. It has not quite a big share. Yeah, looking for example on the GDP, it's maybe 3% or 4% of the global share is the share of Africa. But we have maybe 17, 18, 19% of the worldwide population in Africa. So it's quite a huge gap. And but if we look on Africa and for example the German trade, German companies make some 40% of trade with South Africa, and maybe another 40% with the countries in Northern Africa. So you have like 5 or 6 countries where German companies do trade with, and then you have other countries like Nigeria or Kenya, and then you have another group, and then there's more maybe this third or fourth group of countries, and there is Chad part of. So you have to be very, very optimistic that Chad is part of a dynamic group where you have a lot of growth. And what is also a difficulty, Chad is really in the middle of Africa, so it has no port. There is bad infrastructure. You have no railways which goes to Chad. So you have no infrastructure or bad infrastructure. You have not really a good development of the economy in general. You have maybe 3 or 4% growth, but when you look on the population growth, it's more or less the same. So there's not really a per capita growth. So there are a lot of difficulties, and of course you could say there is maybe a chance. The oil sector shows you can have really good development, in the sense there was no oil production some 15 or 20 years ago, and now you have oil production, you have international companies, you have investments, but like we already heard, it's quite unstable. You have the state who would like to have a bigger share, and that's not the climate where maybe other companies will think about, okay, we want to invest maybe in the gold sector or in general in the mining sector. So it's quite a difficult situation.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a figure, 16 million euros as the amount of annual export from Germany to Chad. And to put this in perspective, you said this is probably what Germany and Poland are exchanging on a daily basis when it comes to exports, right?
Yeah, or maybe in 2 hours or something like this. It's really like nothing comparing it to the bigger countries like France or Poland or the United States. On the other side, what is quite interesting, looking on the imports, Chad is one of the main trading partners in Africa for Germany, and that was also a surprise for me. It started maybe some 3 or 4 years ago that Germany started to be one of the main oil importers for Chad, and so there could be a relation, a trading relation or an investment relation. But of course, German companies want stability. They want a government which offers stable investment laws, and that's I think a difficulty.
Talking about stability, Rimaji, obviously it is a very volatile political climate too in Chad, which makes business entrepreneur, which makes it really hard and difficult. Is there anything you can see on the horizon which is offering a sort of better stability? Because there is a lot of instability in terms of intercommunal conflicts, Rimaji. No? You mentioned that people are facing and fighting. Why is that, Rimaji? Why is there so much intercommunal conflict and fight?
Okay, let us then maybe keep drawing on from the economic. Let us go to that situation. I mean, there was a link because we have been talking about oil and import-export. But basically, normally, Chad is a country that have been living on agriculture and livestock for a long time. And it was 80% of the economy, actually. And then this have been inverted when oil entered the game, with those two sectors actually rising just to some 20%, to the highest they can go. And the intercommunal conflict has a lot to do, with those two important activities. And let us here, put out some 2 or 3 figures. 2021, for example, we counted some 27 conflicts with more than almost 300 people killed. And 12 out of 23 provinces that have been impacted, mainly in the south and the center of the country and the east. And then 2022, it's more than 45 major conflict, with almost 500 people killed, and almost the same provinces that have been impacted again. And then when we enter 2022, 23, it's just the beginning. We are just at the beginning of the year, but we actually can talk about some 5 major conflicts with more, almost 100 of people killed. It meaning that those conflicts are raging, and this is due to some basic situations. Is mainly on resources first, because communities are facing each other on the share of cultivable lands, of herding spaces, but also water access, meaning herders and agriculturists. But these are situations that always exist in the country and that have been in a way managed. But we actually are observing a kind of inability of the system to manage the conflict, giving them then a kind of more possibility for recidivism and for exacerbation. It's linked to basic governance in terms of the capability of authority, administrative authority, and judicial authorities to set the problems that rise around those conflicts. This is one. But second, we also observe the fact that most of the administrators of the security authorities are at the same time herders. It means that this brings in the balance a kind of disequilibrium between the two communities, and the herders accessing more and more weapons, like I say, AK-47 and others. So the death toll on the ground is just kind of rising. The victims are rising, and conflicts that by the time could be finishing with 2 people killed, etc. Actually, in 2 days, we can have more than 50 people killed because of the use of those weapons. So there is an exacerbation, and there is this inability of the authorities setting the problem. So this is something that actually, to my opinion, needs very close attention, because this has a direct link with the 2 sectors that I've been talking about. And if we add to that the situation with the instability of the region, meaning floodings alternating with the droughts, etc., then we have a situation where people are less and less able producing enough to cover the food needs. And let us recall the fact that in 2021, the state itself officially acknowledged a situation of food emergency. And these have been followed by a rainy season in 2022 that have been marked by a lot of floodings in most of the most producing areas, the south meaning, and also in the Sahel part, meaning that there will be accumulation of a food emergency with the consequences of a drought. So ahead, we might have for the coming rainy season that is actually already there in the south, a situation that might be very complicated to manage. This is also something that needs to be acknowledged. And if you allow me, if I talk too much, you just stop me.
Just wait. I would like to switch to you get later on, but please finish your phrase, please. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Then I'll.
Okay, then later on we will address it again. Thank you very much. You get talking about floods, climate change, the rain season coming, and on top you've got displaced persons. I read figures such as 380,000 internally displaced people. On top, you've got refugees, about 600,000 coming from Cameroon, Nigeria, Central African Republic. I mean, this is work for you, right? These people are coming to you and hoping to be received and somehow alleviated from their burdens, right? Is it your target group too?
Yes, is our target group too, but we are working directly with UN agency like UNHCR, who are the lead of in terms of refugees and returnees. So we are working directly with them, and they organize the different stakeholders, international NGOs, local NGOs, to make sure how we can welcome the different refugees and how we can support them through the shelter and everything. And after that, we organize ourselves to do the different activities. So we have I know since 2 years I hear there are a good organization in terms of coordination in the different areas. So the different humanitarian NGOs and the different actors work together to make sure what are the different needs. Before that, we do the need assessment to make sure what are the needs and how we can address them with the different beneficiaries. So is what I can say. They come like that directly, but we work with them. But in terms of insecurity globally, we make sure in terms of our security, but at the same time we do some key activity to build on cohesion between the host community and the refugee to make sure the conflict will not continue between them. So that is also another key thing. I can also build a little bit in terms of the flooding we have this year or last year in Chad, cover the different area. I know that in N'Djamena, for example, we have more than 1 million people displaced in the different camps, and we have some intervention, but right now the government had the lead of everything, and we are working to see with UNHCR to see how we can help them to build the resilience and close the different camps we have here in N'Djamena. If not, we have more than 12 big camps with the different survivors like in terms of flood. But can have one intervention in Chad in one area, because that we have the big flood where we have another refugee and returning in the same area. So is what I can maybe rapidly add in that. So it's the same beneficiary target group we have, but the coordination is very important to see how avoid a lot of things.
Yeah, but I mean, a bigger influx of refugees obviously means that you need more funds to be able to just offer and enlarge your projects, right?
Yes, we need more fund, but the big issue is the fund is very rare right now based on the big crises we have around the world. And another thing is we have a lot of NGO, more than 60 international NGO here in Chad, and the donor, as we started to say, the crisis started since more than 20 years. So the donor also time is tired in terms of continue to find the different activity. So what I know currently right now, I know that PRM, that is the Department of USAID, American government, have a lot of funds to support, but also Agence Française de Développement and EU, they support some key activity, but the donor is very rare in terms of reserve funds. So we have more impact right now in our project because I think that our annual budget is decreasing year by year, and we will continue to see how we can increase that to target another new donor, like maybe private donor, etc., to jump in these crises to help the different beneficiaries. If not, the situation is very critical because we are on the ground and we see what happens day by day, and sometimes difficult.
Yeah. Obviously. Thank you very much, Ugad. Questions are coming in, so if you would like to continue giving us questions, that's perfect. We still have time and are going to address them. First of all, Mr. Naumann, I would like to dive a little deeper in terms of diversification in economy. You said you were somehow surprised that Chad had this amount of trading capability, and you said perhaps there was more possible in terms of future. Talking about mining, livestock, agribusiness, telecommunications, do you think there is potential for Chad to develop this potential?
In general, yes. A thing we haven't talked about is the population growth. Yeah. I looked on the figures. In the 1950s, there were like 2.5 million people in Chad. Today we have around 18 million. Yeah, so it was the population of Berlin some 70 years ago now, of North Rhine-Westphalia, or even more. So population growth is always a big chance, but we also heard about the problems. And I think in general, of course, there are a lot of opportunities, but we really need a stable political system. And looking on the countries around, Chad is quite stable, yeah, with all the problems it has, but comparing it maybe with Mali or Central Republic, yeah, it's quite stable. And for example, renewable energies, yeah, that in theory there would be great opportunities, and maybe once or two times per year I have a guy from Chad who calls me and asks me, okay, isn't there an opportunity for renewables? And yes, of course, there would be, for example, an opportunity to produce energy and transport it via Libya and the Mediterranean Sea to Europe. But that's really theory, because you have also countries like Mauritania, which are much more stable, and they have a port, and maybe they are even a little bit closer to Europe, so it's a little bit easier. So if there would be stability, there would be a chance, but yeah, I think right now it's more theory than there are companies knocking on the door of the government of Chad.
Yeah, thank you very much. Remaji, talking about stability or rather the opposite, instability, we've got a question covering that. Dr. Timmerman is asking, thinking of such high caliber weapons, do you face mercenaries from abroad? I guess it's about Wagner groups and something like this. Are there mercenaries around in Chad bringing in weapons? Remaji, could you please put on your mic? Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry. Wagner is very close because they are just in Central African Republic, so on the southern boundary of the country. And there have been last year, in 2021, an incident implicating Wagner and Chadian militaries on the southern border with at least 3 Chadian soldiers killed. So there have been a diplomatic issue between the two countries, but this have been solved. So actually, officially talking, there is no mercenary from Wagner or other groups in Chad. But there are also hypotheses about a rebellion that might actually be nurturing in the southern part of the country, with the possibility of using Central African Republic northern part as a real base. And there have been videos circulating here and there about this group appealing to Wagner. But all this remain then hypothetical. So I would say that from the knowledge I have, there is no mercenaries. But then the circulation of weapons here doesn't have anything to do with mercenaries. It's due to the sub-regional situation, with Chad having been for a long time one of the places where weapons circulated the most because of those hundreds of rebellions that have been created and that have been also living in the country, but also because of the porous borders with Libya and the situation in Libya, making that there is a lot of circulation of weapons through that space. The Lake Chad Basin is another place of open circulation of weapons. And then we have also the situation with Central African Republic with the more than 2 decades of conflict, making that weapons are circulating. And this one has a relation with intercommunal conflict, in the sense that some of the rebels that have been part of Seleka are actually from Chadian origins. Some of them are also binationals. And because of the activity of Wagner in northern Central Africa, most of the Seleka rebellions have been chased out, most of them. And so some of those people ended up in their communities in southern Chad with their weapons on hand. So this is also something that needs to be acknowledged. And last thing is about Sudan. We also know the situation with Darfur in the time, but actually Sudan is also shaking in a way because they are under transition, and there are also a lot of intercommunal conflict on the border with Sudan, and most of the communities there are transboundary. So those conflicts also have some consequences on weapon circulation on the eastern border between Chad and Sudan. So actually, I would say definitely we don't have officially foreign mercenaries in Chad, but the circulation of weapons is there even without acknowledging the presence of such actors.
Thank you very much, Renaji. We've got a question regarding female empowerment and the importance of women when it comes to solution finding or conflict resolution. Huguette, in terms of your work, is there a line of work addressing this fact that women might be used as mediators when it comes to resolving conflicts?
Yes. For care, the women is the key beneficiary of our intervention. So everything we are doing on the ground, we put the women at the core of that. So as we have the key target group like refugees returning and host community, most of the time, more than 8% of this population are women. So they are the key person we work directly with. During the focus group discussion, we realized that sometimes during the crisis, the women play the key roles in the different community. And they have the key secrets some of the time to share with us to know what kind of action we can also implement. So our first target group are the women and the young girl. One maybe a small success story I can share with you. Some of the time we have one woman, for example, supported by our activities. And at the end, they received a small amount to develop the income generative activities to address the different issues they have. But these women recruit 2 other refugees to support them to
Huguette, are you still with us? Okay. Yeah. Apparently, Huguette's connection is a bit sketchy. So we are moving to Mr. Monahan. Huguette, are you with us? No. Okay. Well, Mr. Monahan, a question regarding Chad's status in terms of political positioning. I mean, Freedom House 2022 rated Chad as a country that was not free in terms of civil society and expression and whatever it is entitled when it comes to freedom. How sketchy is this topic when it comes to developing stable economic relationships?
I mean, in the short term, I think there are companies who doesn't really care about political problems and Freedom House indicators. But when you're going on the wrong run, it is a topic, yeah. And so for sure, it's a big problem. And preparing our meeting, I also looked on the history of on the political history, and there was a photography of a visit of the Chadian president in the 1980s in the US. During that time, during the Cold War, the Western world didn't really care about democracy, and I think so. It's also a legacy of us, the Western world, and so I think in the long term it's quite a big problem. And on the other side, companies find their ways, but looking on the long term, it's very important that we have more democracy, more stability in general in Africa and also in Chad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Again, we had to jump to Mr. Monahan because your internet connection was a little bit sketchy. But I would like to give you another question which came just a few minutes ago. It is about the role of social media when it comes to fundraising, and I guess it's about CARE, but other NGOs too. How important is social media in Chad?
We have a lot of social media in Chad. We have some collaboration with them, but right now, not for this fund, but most of the communication, sensitization are around some key issue we have, like VBG, gender-based violence. But we have the big connection with CARE at global level, to use the media to raise funds. We have some success solution through this way to raise the fund, but not all of the time, because sometimes the media, they need to come in Chad to be on the ground to see what happened, etc. And the budget sometimes is not enough to do everything like that. But during the last flooded, for example, we have one international media staff who come here to support us to share a lot of information, and that helps us, for example, to raise one fund with Melinda Gates. Is not a lot, but we have a small fund to support, and we have also through another fund from LDS, the Latter Day Church, and they help us so to support some kind of. So we have this example rapidly, but depend on the resource you put down to share the information at a different level. It's a good way to use to read the fund. We continue to use that as the key way to use the fund, apart of other way we continue to use.
Yeah, thank you very much, Huguette. We're on the last few minutes of our web talk. Remaji, I would like to ask you, what is on your agenda, work-wise, when it comes to Chad? What is your work focusing on in the long-term prospect?
Yeah, I think that actually what I'm really interested in terms of work is monitoring two things. First is the transition as the way it's going, and then also link that with the overall situation in the country when coming to stability. And I have this understanding of stability that is not just a country without rebels. That is not just a country without, I mean, violent demonstrations, etc., etc. My understanding of stabilization goes beyond, and it encompasses social stabilization, but it's also encompasses social peace, meaning a way of addressing all those socio-economic hardships that the communities are going through, talking about all those episodes of droughts and floodings, talking also about all those intercommunal conflict, talking also about all this kind of big nexus of criminality and banditism, but also insecurity that is going on the northern edge of the country around illegal mining of gold and all the armed groups that are surrounding those situations. Also talking about a way of limiting the expansion of Boko Haram on the Chadian soil. This is one, and then second, it's about the real agenda of the transition in that country that was at the beginning about working out a framework that will, in sometimes, help the country limit the impact of the militaries on the political situation. And we, unfortunately, are not out of this situation. And in a way, it's very difficult being optimistic, although we are living here. And it's very difficult because all that we have been going through since the beginning of this transition shows a lot of signs that we might just be getting back and maybe a worse, second season of David's reign to his son. This is something that needs then to be monitored. So these are the two things I'm actually looking at, and also in some way watching the discussions surrounding the oil sector.
Okay. So this is a huge field of exploration, and metaphorically and really. Thank you very much, Mr. Monian. Your take on Chad's future and your hopes, if not optimism, but your hopes. What is it? What do you feel Chad should do to really empower its nation when it comes to economic and political stability?
Yeah, first of all, I think we cannot do a lot from outside, and it's really time for Africans and for sure also for Chadians to fix it. Yeah, to fix maybe also the problems we brought to them. Yeah. And on the other side, I have to say, we as Europeans, we as Germans are also open to support the states in Africa, and especially the states in Sahel. And so my hope is that maybe positive developments we saw in the last years in Sudan and Ethiopia, that there was maybe more stability than maybe some 10 years ago in Sudan, and in Ethiopia now is more stability than 1 year ago, that these countries also maybe bring some stability to the whole region, and then you have some positive effects also for the other countries. And that's my only hope. I think there are a lot of talented people, and I think we need in Europe also good, young, motivated people from other countries. And if we have exchange in both directions, I think in the long term there are a lot of possibilities for exchange, for trading relations, and also for investment.
Thank you very much. Huguette, how capable is Chad to fix its problems? That was Mr. Moran said. It is up to the Chadian people to fix their problems. How capable is your country, in your view, to find a constructive way of political transition, social establishment? How capable is Chad right now?
Thanks, Sophia. That is my own and personal opinion. Yes. My point of view is we need in Chad to work closely with the government and make sure what are their hope maybe and what kind of leadership they can use to address everything. The country is too poor, but receive every day the refugees from the cross-border. And the country also have the good opportunity in terms of agriculture and livestock. They can do a lot of things around that, but we need to the leadership of the government. That is my own opinion. But at the same time, based on the current situation, it will be also very important to raise the hand and call the different donors to continue to support the different situation we face here in Chad. Most not to save the life, but is enough. We need maybe to continue to build on resilience nurses to make sure they can take themselves, they can support themselves, but not just to save their life. We need to do a lot of things to build the resilience of the community and make sure maybe during the next couple of the years, we cannot just continue. And we need also maybe to work on the different strategy to prepare the different shock, for example, and to make sure we will reduce the different impacts on the different population. That is my personal point of view of the global situation regarding the political, climate change, everything. The process is a little bit difficult, and we cannot finish to stay more on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So to put it in a nutshell, for all stakeholders involved, be it on the political, the economic side, or as in Huguette's and Ker's case, the social humanitarian work, it is political stability that is needed, right? You need this as a framework to be able to work in ways that pay off. So this is something we are taking out of this discussion. So hopefully a peaceful transition in terms of political leadership and hopefully persons and people responsible who get in charge and are able to lead Chad in a better future. For those of you who are interested to get a deeper insight, Remaji kindly posted a link to his last publication on chat. So for those of you who like to dive deeper, the link is in our webinar's chat. It is about seeking peace in Chad and need to prepare for war. So this is a study Remaji prepared for all of you interested in it. To our panelists, thank you very much for having joined us. It was a pleasure to get your insights and takes on Chad. And we're anxiously waiting to get more news on Chad and especially better news. So thank you very much, Remaji. Thank you very much, Huguette. Thank you very much, Mr. Monian. It was a pleasure having you on board today and getting in touch with you in the near future, hopefully. For those of you who are interested in our series and wanting to find out more, we are going to prepare our next web talk covering Zimbabwe. It will be April 18th, same time. So hopefully you are going to join us when it comes to breaking the silence, covering countries that have not received the media attention they should have. And today's example was Chad. So thank you very much once again. Please stay safe and joining us too. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.